On this week's show, we celebrate a milestone in the world of RVing. This year, Jayco celebrates 50 years of creating family fun, and the Bontrager family has been at the helm of the company since day one. Rick Kessler from RVBusiness magazine sat down with Derald and Wilbur Bontrager to look back at those 50 years from when the first Jayco trailer rolled out of the family barn to where the company is today. Later in the show, Mark and Dawn Polk from RV Education 101 show us how to keep those unwanted critters out of your RV. These stories and more on this week's Rollin On TV. Rollin On TV is brought to you by Carefree of Colorado, celebrating 45 years of RV awning innovation. Closed and Spanish captioning, where available, is sponsored by Jayco. At Jayco, we've been making family dreams come true since 1968.
Hi there, Rick Kessler with RVBusiness, working with Rollin On TV, and we have a special treat for you today. We're with Derald and Wilbur Bontrager of Jayco fame, and it's their 50th anniversary. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks, Rick. Good to be here.
Gentlemen, congratulations on 50-year anniversary for the business. That's got to be just quite a milestone for y'all.
Well, it is, and it's hard to believe 50 years have come, and we're on to the next chapters, but 50 years is a long time and brings back a lot of old-time memories.
Well, let's go back to those memories. 1968 was when your father, Lloyd, first started with the pop-up. What do you remember about 1968 and those times?
Well, I remember I was 11 years old at that time, and I like to tell the story that my first job was our father, Lloyd, wanted to be so secretive about this lifter system he was developing and ultimately patented that my first job was to take a can of that frost that you get at Christmas time. You used to be able to get, I don't know if you still can or not, and I was frosting windows in the chicken house to make sure nobody could peek in and see what he was doing. So that was my first job.
No kidding. Wilbur?
So when Dad was staying home, he had left his prior job to start Jayco. I remember, and I was 15 at the time in high school, but I remember him laboring over some of the development he was having to do, developing this wind-up lifter system and struggling with getting it to work, and getting into discussion and dialogue with him on that, and then trying it the next day, next evening out after school, and building that first camper in what we today call the center building there, because the other buildings weren't ready for production.
So what was your dad doing before he got into the RVs?
Dad was working for Starcraft at the time. It was actually called Star Tank and Boat Company because they were building agricultural feeders and stock tanks, that sort of thing, as well as boats. They gave him the project of getting into the camper business, where he did start that in 1963 and 4, and actually invented that wind-up system. So he had that background and experience and knowledge of how to do it, knowledge of the suppliers and dealers and how to set up shop, and so he was striking out on his own with his own product. So
back when he was striking out on his own, it was a couple of chicken coops in the barn. That was the production facilities.
Well,
it was, yeah.
It was, and it was at our family farm. Yeah. The barn, as we often lovingly call the place, was his first attempt in setting up a production line, and we did it in the lower level of the barn, which at that time was a dirt floor where livestock would come and go. So obviously we had to dig all that out, bolster the foundation with concrete and cement the floors, and then that was actually where the first assembly line was set up of about 5 or 6 campers. And then at the same time, our west building was a chicken coop with a flat roof on it, much too low for any kind of activity in it. So he took the roof off, extended the sidewalls up, put rafters and a new roof on it, and that ultimately became the production line.
Okay, okay. Now, with these early prototypes, I imagine you guys were the guinea pigs. Did you go on camping trips with them?
We did. We did a fair amount of camping growing up, and even prior to Mom and Dad starting the company, we camped in a Starcraft camper, and we weren't avid campers, but we'd go out several times a summer with a group of other families and just have a good time. And it was always in the early days anyway. It was always in a pop-up camper, and to this day, that's my favorite way to camp. It's as close to nature as you can get in an RV, in my mind.
That experience, actually, I think, is where Dad and Mom realized the value of camping for family memories and togetherness and et cetera, and relationships. Realized the value of that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I read somewhere that your mom played a pretty pivotal role in the naming of the company.
Well, her and Dad would early on discuss, and this would have been early in 1968, what to name the company. And one of the things Dad was wanting to achieve was a name that sort of was holistic in its approach to the name of the company. He wanted it to represent the kinds of things that RVs afforded a family or users to use the product. Backing up a wee bit, his name was Lloyd Bontrager. He was never given a middle name, and so he'd use his father's name, Jacob, the letter J from that as his middle initial. There were other Lloyd Bontragers, so that would distinguish him from other Lloyds. And so he loved birds. He loved the notion that they are free to fly and explore, et cetera, and so forth. And he and Mom discussing it, they said, well, why don't you, and with others, he would dialogue with others for ideas. They ended up saying, well, why don't you call it J, like using the letter J after his favorite bird, the blue jay, and add CO for company and call it Jayco. And that seemed to stick, and I think it's made an indelible impression throughout the course of time.
Generations of family fun.
Exactly.
Right, that's right.
Someone once said, the camping doesn't really start until the RV awning comes out. Whoever said that really knew what they were talking about. Carefree of Colorado, celebrating 45 years of RV awning innovation. For more information, visit our website at carefreeofcolorado.com.
Exploration. It affirms that we are alive, demands that we are present. So let's put our work lives on pause, ramble out into the world, and share the journey with the ones we love.
For more information, visit lancecamper.com.
1970 is when you went from pop-ups to travel trailers?
1970, when we moved here to our current location, we obviously vacated the farm, mostly vacated. We had left the metal fab behind, but that gave us the opportunity, space to bring in prototyping a travel trailer. And then later that year, we actually began producing them in the same plant as our tent campers.
Derald, how about some of the other acquisitions along the way? I know we're going to jump ahead a bit, but pretty key stuff.
You know, during the 70s and 80s, we sort of really grew the company just with our core products and kind of all that organic growth, if you will. And then in '91, we acquired Starcraft RV, and that gave us an additional name with a separate dealer body and some different products. And then in 2008, we acquired a company and got full-fledged, big, what we call a full-line manufacturer, and entered the Class A market with Integra Coach. And a few years later, in 2014, we acquired a company and branded it Highland Ridge, and further expanded our offerings. So that was kind of our growth pattern over the 50 years.
Let me circle back. You mentioned the foundational values. That certainly carries you through the rough times. You mentioned the oil crisis, the Great Recession we just had 10 years ago. I'm assuming it also carried you through the passing of your father.
Yes, we'd be remiss to not bring that up. Thanks, Rick. We, in 1985, lost Lloyd and our youngest brother, Wendell, in an airplane accident. And obviously that's a family tragedy for our biological family, but as our Jayco family as well. It was very tragic, and it really sent a big jolt through the company and our dealer body, industry as well, because Lloyd was so highly thought of in the industry as a fairly young company yet at that time. But you know, after a week of you know, all the celebrations and the funerals and etc., we realized we've got to keep this thing going. And credit goes to Mom for saying, look, we got to keep things going. We got to gather our troops, and we're going to continue on. And so we pulled up ourselves by the bootstraps and went back to work and continued to move ahead and thrive. And you know, Lloyd's core values and way he related with people and motivated people, people still talk about that today, and that's a legacy that most of us can only hope for. But he left a lasting legacy that has really inspired people for life and changed people's attitudes about things.
The second camping trailer ever produced is down the road at the Hall of Fame?
I believe that's number 2, and then we have number 40. I think it's number 40 in storage at the farm. And
the price tag when they were built was?
I believe they were around $990 or $95, somewhere in that neighborhood. The first year. I think the second year they topped $1,000, $1,100. They were 10-foot camping trailers, so relatively small by some that are produced today and less elaborate.
But that was intentional, not only because it's a competitive reasons, but also Lloyd wanted this lifestyle to be affordable.
He did, and the other thing I'm not sure we touched on early on, but besides being an affordable lifestyle, it was a good product niche to be in. And but the other thing that really put Jayco on the map early on was his wind-up system that he developed for that, for our product, the Jayco product, as compared to what was in the industry at the time. And that's, I think, one of the reasons so many industry folks came to him, hey, let's start a plant in Kansas, let's start a plant in Canada. I want to sell for you. And dealers picking up the product. Oh, this is a better mousetrap. It'll sell. So it was really the key for the early on success of the Jayco product.
At Jayco, we're a lot more than just an RV manufacturer. We're all about family, and we've been making family dreams come true since 1968. To see our complete product line and find your nearest Jayco dealer, visit us online at jayco.com or just log on to rollinontv.com.
Simply put, Thetford's Aquachem has outsold all its competitors combined because it's the strongest holding tank deodorant available. It provides the strongest odor control around the clock in all temperatures and conditions. It quickly liquefies waste and tissue and is 100% biodegradable. Aquachem, the industry standard for 50 years. For more information, visit Thetford.com. AquaChem, another great product from Thetford.
So let's go a barn and a couple of chicken coops, glorified chicken coops, to where we're at now. Describe the company now, the facilities, employees, products.
Well, we in 2005 we ventured outside of Elkhart County, if you will, for the first time, or out of this region for the first time since the early 70s when we were in Kansas and in Canada. We opened a plant in Twin Falls, Idaho to build J-Flight travel trailers to supply the Western markets, both Western Canada and Western United States. And, and that we still have a presence out there and it's doing very well. So today we have campuses in, of course, in Twin Falls and here in Middlebury, and then one in two small neighboring communities of Shipshewana and Topeka. And we have, I believe 22 production lines and a little over 4,000 employees at this point. And it's been some coming out of the recession of '09, which was difficult for the whole country, of course. The growth of our company, along with the industry rebounding, has just been phenomenal. And my memory tells me that in 2009 we had reduced our workforce to 1,100 employees. And so to go from 1,100 employees, and I think it was about 18,000, 17, in the upper teens anyway, that we built in that year, to over 70,000 is pretty phenomenal growth.
And still growing.
Still growing.
We've taglined for a number of years now. It's called Generations of Family Fun. We have multiple generations not only working here at Jayco, but within the dealers. We have dealers now in the third generations. I just think that's awesome.
What about the next 50 years? Obviously we're looking at another good 2018 and probably the immediate future after that. But what's going to be the next 50 years for Jayco?
Well, like I said earlier, we feel we have a lot of runway yet with the Jayco product. And of course it's public knowledge that in 2016 the family decided the time was right to look for someone to sell the company to after many months and actually years of thinking about it and as our mother would say, praying about it, and knowing that at the end of the day, whoever bought our company wanted to make sure that they took care of our people, and not just our people here, our 4,000 employees, but our dealers and our customers as well. So that's when we decided that Thor Industries was the right partner for us. If you want to expand on that?
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey and a good journey, and it's been good for the family. We were obviously somewhat nervous. Family had owned the business for all these years, and this is a big change, and it's a small community, and yet we felt just a tremendous amount of support. Thor has been very good. We really like their model where they will buy good companies and expect them to continue to run. Like they told us, they don't want to screw up the magic. And so, you know, we're still here. They want us around, and I think for good reason. But at some time, we're going to have to move on in life as well. But we certainly have valued their approach, and, you know, one of our focuses as family members is that we see our values, core values and practices be perpetuated into the future. And that's near and dear to our hearts. And that's what we attempt to do every day. We come into work and as we relate to people and employees and dealers and consumers as well.
So for me personally, I've got some gas in my tank yet and plan to work a few more years here. And as Wilbur said, Thor likes to buy great companies and keep management in place and just let them run. So and that's how they treat all the companies they've acquired over the years. And that's really been our experience here, that Thor they just want to see us continue what we've been doing. They know, as Wilbur said, the Jayco magic, we heard that word from Thor. And they don't want to come in and mess up the magic, the secret sauce, so to speak, that makes Jayco tick. So that's what I see our role over the next few years while we're still here, is to make sure that we ingrain that into the Jayco DNA more than ever before, so that can continue after we're gone. And if we can do that, which I know we can, and Jayco continues to handle situations and people like that we have for the last 50 years, which in my mind is treating every situation with honesty, dignity, and respect, I believe that someone will be sitting maybe in these very chairs 50 years from now talking about the past 50 years, and talking about the 100 years. And I really believe that if you build great product and treat people right, as Wilbur said earlier, the business comes to you.
That would be the Jayco magic.
Be the Jayco magic.
Secret is out.
That's not magic, it's pretty simple. It's really pretty simple.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's all about people. It really is.
Need some new replacement rubber trim and seals for your RV? Now celebrating their 60th anniversary, Steel Rubber Products has been the leading choice for discerning hot rod and classic car owners for all their rubber parts needs. And now, Steel Rubber Products is offering the same high-quality parts and service to RV owners everywhere. For more information on Steel Rubber Products and to get a free RV catalog, visit rv.steelrubber.com. When you have a Truma AquaGo instant hot water system, you can expect to make a lot of new friends.
When RVs are stored for the winter, it's not uncommon for mice and squirrels to make their winter home in the RV. These animals are notorious for gnawing and chewing through vehicle wiring, plastic and rubber lines, and causing extensive damage to the RV. I'm by no means an expert on pest and rodent control, but I can offer a few RV storage tips and tricks to help keep the mice away. Possibly the most important step is to try and prevent mice and other rodents from being able to access your RV. This can be difficult because they can enter the RV through some very small areas. Start by inspecting the underside of your RV for any gaps or holes. Fill these holes using silicone or expanding foam. A word of caution, if you've never used expanding foam before, you should experiment with it on something other than your RV first. When it dries, it can expand a great deal more than you expect it to. Next, open drawers and cabinet doors inside your RV. Look in all of the corners and crevices, especially where plumbing and wiring enter the RV. If you see any daylight, mice can get in the RV. Fill these areas with silicone or expanding foam. Remove all food from the RV when it's being stored and thoroughly clean the RV to remove any remnants of food that might attract mice and other rodents. If at all possible, try to park or store the RV on a solid surface like pavement or concrete. Try to avoid grass, fields, or wooded areas. If it's a motorized RV, start the engine every week or so to chase any squirrels or mice off that might be making the engine compartment into a home for the winter. This is where a lot of chewing damage occurs. Now let's talk about some deterrents to keep rodents away. Some people recommend using mothballs throughout different areas in the RV. I never tried it, but if you can put up with the smell, it might be worth trying. Other people say the alternative to mothballs is dryer sheets like Bounce. I talked to some people who swear it works and the smell is much more pleasant than mothballs, but I also talked to a guy who said that the mice made a nest in the dryer sheets in his RV. Other RV owners suggest using some type of essential oils to keep mice away. If all else fails and you are close to where the RV is being stored, it might be best to use conventional mouse traps and check the traps for mice every few days. There's no tried and true method to keep mice away, but if we take these preventive measures, we have a much better chance of a mouse-free RV. Happy camping.
We hope you enjoyed this week's program, and for more information on anything you saw on the show, along with additional videos and stories from current and past shows, visit our website at rollinontv.com. You can also join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. As usual, this has been another fun production.